It's the way we celebrate the tip-off of the National Basketball Association season. Are we going to have just any old pundit on here? We're going to have any coach player? We could.
Yeah, we could.
We could flex in
done
that
that before.
But no, what we have for you here on the Rich Eisen Show, live in studio here in Los Angeles, the head of lifestyle and content marketing is his official title for NBA 2K, the famed Ronnie 2K here on the Rich Eisen Show. Good to see you, sir.
What's up, Rich? How are you?
Happy NBA season to you.
Yeah, you too, sir. I'm so excited to be here. I'm actually flying to the Warriors ring ceremony tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're going to have to tip off the season 2K style.
Do you rate the rings as well? Is there a
I
rating
should.
for the rings?
I actually have a 2015 NBA, their first title with the Warriors.
Is that right?
Yeah, Harrison Barnes, a good friend of mine, gifted me one of the rings.
Wow.
So
Is that right?
Even though I'm not really getting along with the Warriors recently, I still have that ring.
Yes, that kind of leads me into one of the questions I wanted to ask you is how do you come up with your rating system? What is your
Well, first
system,
of all,
sir?
I'm not the guy.
You are not the guy.
I am not the guy.
You're the guy.
I am the messenger of the guy. I'm the
you-
front for the front. Yeah, I'm a guy. I'm a guy playing a guy disguised as another guy. No, actually,
Are you really an
there's-
avatar? You're not really a human
Yeah,
being?
I'm not actually really
Wow,
here
this
either.
is
We're in the
wild.
simulation right now.
Very
Yeah, we're
lifelike.
inside.
So
Yeah.
so you're kind of catching the heat for those.
No,
who do
I mean,
this sort of
look,
thing, or-
the lightning rod that is the ratings conversation is so fascinating to me because all of these guys they're getting paid millions of dollars. They're getting all NBA accolades, MVP accolades, and yet this ratings thing means so much to them.
Well, because you're rating them.
Yeah.
Somebody.
Well, I mean, this is also our 24th franchise of NBA 2K, and all of these guys have really played it their entire lives, right? So like, it's one of those things that's all they know. So like, getting into the league is 1A, right? Being drafted in the NBA, and then all of a sudden, we're right there. We're 1B, getting to be in this amazing video game.
Right. So you understand then. I mean, if they've grew up playing it and placed so much in the rating system
Yep.
when they're playing it,
Yeah.
that now that they are actually the person who's being played,
Yeah.
they want to make sure that the respect is paid to them in the manner in which they viewed the rating as a respect being paid when they played it.
100%. I mean, look, it's another thing to be competitive about, right? Like how many All-Star, nods you get, how many points per game, all of those things. What's another thing? That NBA 2K rating.
So you are you not part of the process at all?
No, it's not that I'm not part of the process at all. I definitely sit in with those guys. I, as the face of NBA 2K, I have a lot of responsibilities in the marketing. The cultural lifestyle thing that is this game. But ratings is definitely a big part of it. But I sit on a panel with a bunch of people. But ultimately, it's actually formulaic, and it's also something that changes over the course of the season. I was on another station yesterday,
That's okay.
and
You
I
can
got
say
a lot
ESPN.
of.
You can say ESPN.
I was on ESPN.
I used to be on ESPN
yes,
too.
Yes, you did. I remember.
Yeah,
I used
thank
to
you.
be a big fan watching you.
Thank you.
They asked me like. I said it, and it got caught up on all social media. But it's very simple. You want a better rating? Play better. It's really that simple. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely specific ones that are interesting. So, the Klay Thompson thing. I'm sure we're going to talk about that.
Sure. Well, I mean,
would you like to ask me?
Well, I mean, we have the screen grab of what he posted on the Instagram
Yep.
of the NBA on ESPN when announcing your arrival there, and Klay Thompson was called you clown.
Yep. It's funny also because he also said I'm a promoter, so he knows that I don't
Right.
actually deal with the ratings, so I don't really get this. But I will say, like, look, Klay is an amazing basketball player. I live in the Bay Area. I have been to many of the NBA Finals games, and very honored and blessed to be able to do that. Klay actually lives right down the street from me as well, which is interesting.
Yes.
We've run into each other around town, and it's always been really nice. I've always had much respect for Klay. I really think that like the big thing here is he's an 88 in 3-point rating this year. He had kind of a rough return from three ball, and so like that's still the second highest NBA 2K 3-point rating, tied with I believe Kevin Durant and Damian Lillard. At some point, you know who he needs to blame? His teammate Stephen Curry, because for the last 12 years, Steph has made 10% more threes than anybody else in the NBA, except the 1 year he got hurt, right? And ultimately, like at some point, the ratings need to show that. we have all-time teams and then we have current day teams, right? So like the current day Warriors, a 99 Stephen Curry, no doubt, right? But I think everybody else has got to start 10% below him. Wouldn't you agree?
That's just by, you say, mere numbers,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Oh, don't
By
drag me
straight
into this. I don't want Clay calling me a clown. You're on your own, Ronnie 2K.
Yeah,
Don't rope me into this.
I'll fight this
It's going
myself.
to be a hell of a moment where you at the ring ceremony tonight. That'll be wonderful.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
If Draymond Green's staring at you, then you'll know you might,
I might have to go home.
Imagine
No,
running
like
the-
again, like so much respect for these guys. They're amazing basketball players. I don't really know why I was a target when 8,000 miles away. Like I was in bed. It was 3 a.m, right? Like
Yes.
when Klay Thompson decided to say that in Japan. I'm like, why are you thinking of us or me when you're 8,000 miles away? But again, it speaks to the power of the game and the success that it's had.
Ronnie 2K here on the Rich Eisen Show. You guys ran a simulation of the entire NBA season.
Yep.
In NBA 2K23. Let's put it up on the screen. Jason Tatum wound up being your most valuable player. With Keegan Murray, the rookie of the year of the Sacramento Kings, sixth man of the year, Kevin Love. Giannis is your defensive player of the year. Cade Cunningham, most improved player of the Pistons. And Ja Morant is the NBA Finals MVP, as your simulation had the Grizzlies over the Sixers in 7 games.
How about that?
How about them apples? So how do you determine who's the most valuable player, since that is such a...
Well, again, it's the simulation of the game. So whatever it spits out, that's like our thing, and it's been very, very
accurate?
like accurate over the years. This one was kind of wild. Like I saw this and I'm like, wow, these are people that have not been in those conversations before. I mean, the Grizzlies are an amazing team, and they are definitely ready to elevate to the next platform in the NBA. But this is a couple platforms above, right? They got to get past the Warriors. They got to get past a bunch of other teams. So, but that's what the game says, and. Ja is an amazing player, so I could see that happening. I could see the Grizzlies shocking the world for sure.
Okay, but when it's such a subjective award, MVP, how does a simulation spit out who the MVP is?
I mean, just like everybody else does, right? Like points per game, it starts with the stats, and then it starts about how many teams, the best player on the best team. That's usually how we measure MVP, right? So I bet you in that simulation that the Celtics had mid-60s wins and were very successful, and then Tatum had a humongous year.
At what point did the simulation pinpoint in the season when Russell Westbrook chafes at his role with the Lakers? Was there any point of the simulation?
Yeah, I think Russell drops out to the bench and then down the rotation as the season goes along. It's with Russ, it's like it's really interesting. He's a very polarizing player in our game, because we rated him as 78 this year and Patrick Beverley's a 79. Okay. And you just look at that from the core, you're like, this guy averaged a triple-double a couple of years.
Yes.
And so like, how could that even happen? But we are not a multi-year thing, right? Like, we are talking about this year's Lakers, this year's version of Russell Westbrook. So like, I think that's probably fitting. It's challenging to hear, these guys that have played at such a high level to now be in the 70s. That's a tough pill to swallow, but it's definitely fitting. He led the league in turnovers last year. There's a lot that's involved in that. So.
Sure, but I mean, when you're, I guess, either on a Zoom with your colleagues or in a meeting room, when it spits out that Beverly's got 1 point better of a rating than Russell, do you all nod your head and go, okay, this is what we're looking for?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, no, not looking for. I mean, we're just gonna
like that, though.
We're just gonna go with whatever the game says, right? Like, that's ultimately what the formula. We don't tinker. We don't. I mean, I got asked multiple times about being bribed for ratings, and I have been bribed. But I've never taken the bribe, just to be clear. Like our ratings are.
Come on!
I swear to God.
Well, is this an actual player or an agent
There's
of the
been
player?
so many players that have done it. Oh, 100%. Again, we talked about it at the beginning of this interview, how much they care. So why not bribe? They have.
Meaning what? Give me a little bit better of a rating, like literally?
Yeah. They have all the tools to do it. So why not? If you want to be known as better than everybody else in the locker room, I could see that happening.
Is
right?
it something as simple as like 79 to an 80, or is it like 85 to 93? Like,
what I think it is more than the number? I think it's about like the competition between players at the same position. like I've had this conversation with so many of the NBA guys themselves, which is like, I am definitely better than this guy. And his rating is lower. And he's like, how am I not better than that guy? I don't think it's the number that's such a lightning rod. I mean, except in cases like Klay and whatnot. I think the big lightning rod is comparisons to everybody else. Because if they did do it just in comparisons to everybody else, Klay would not be upset, right? Like, he's the second best three-point shooter in the NBA. He's the second highest rated NBA three-point shooter in our game. So, but that then obviously some people are more involved in the number, and some people are more involved in the competition against other players. The other thing I got to say is, unlike other games, we aren't like we're basing it off of all-time historical stuff, right? So the only 99 on one team is 95-96 Michael Jordan. It's the only 99 in our game. There's all-time teams that have a bunch of 99s,
right?
But just on that team, he's the only one. So that means everybody else has to fall in line behind that, right? So like LeBron has never been higher than a 99 on one of those teams. We're basing it off of all of the history of basketball. Other games don't do that. So like, you know, Madden has, you know, has 13 99s, right? Which is cool. That's the way that they do it. But we have a lot more of his historical perspective to think of.
So is Victor Wembanyama 99 in French 2K? Is there French 2K?
That's going to be interesting.
Are you already rating him, or what?
Oh, we have definitely talked about that guy. I mean, he is the freak NBA 2K player, right? A 7'4" guy that can do everything. He's KD with 5 extra inches. Like, I don't know how he's gonna break our game. We have definitely had those conversations.
He's gonna break your game, huh?
Sure.
You've already had conversations about he's gonna break your game.
We have definitely had conversations.
He's
about
basically me every time I've made a player on one of those.
I mean, but
games.
you guys remember when Stephen Curry made 402 3-pointers back in 2016?
Yes.
That was a challenging thing for us, and not the amount he made them, but the way he made them. All of a sudden, he's making them from 35 feet consistently.
Yes,
that is very arcadey, like very 2K. But it was something that we had to like sit around and like figure out, how are we going to deal with this evolution of the game? All of a sudden, you know, just like the NBA was talking about how the game has changed from a inside the paint to outside, you know, the arc kind of game. We had to change the way that our game was built that way too, to follow that. So,
well, if you guys currently have players in the NBA who have issues with being rated here and there based on others who might be younger than them or not as good as them, if Wembanyama comes in and he starts breaking your records without even one single professional tip-off yet, I mean, you're going to be. I think you'll hear it.
Yeah, we definitely will. It's going to be interesting because there's going to be a bunch of guys that, you know, set the league on fire the past few years, and then we have to consider this guy that's 7'4" that can do everything. It's crazy.
Do you have a question for Ronnie 2K, TJ, being the NBA 2K player of the Rich Eisen Show?
Just wondering, Ronnie, how did you get into this position that you're in? How did you get to become?
He bribed somebody.
Yeah, I used the bribes. No, I've been here 15 years, and I'm so honored because like it's the hardest working group of individuals in any like organization. Our game, you know, annualized titles are very, very difficult because they, you know, we have a very short time to put out a product that's so much different than the year before, and these guys figure out a way, blood, sweat, and tears, to like take this thing to a whole nother thing. I think my rise came because like the NBA started focusing on their personas, right? Like you care about LeBron and Steph and their business around them,
yes, more
than you care about the Lakers and Rockets and whatnot, right? And I felt like that was an opportunity, you know, with us to be personas. And like now you look at marketing in general, take outside of video games, there's a lot of people that are now influencers, right? And people really connect with these individuals as opposed to brands and what they like and what they desire. I just happen to be a 2K super fan that I believe like understood social media, worked really, really hard, but was very like blessed to work on an amazing product with some amazing people.
Well, enjoy tonight's tip-off in San Francisco. Who are you going with? You going with your fiance?
I am going with my fiance. My wife. We just got married on Saturday, so.
You got married on Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, terrific.
And I was like, you know what I'd like to do to celebrate my wedding? I'd like to come on the Rich Eisen Show.
Hey,
you know
why
what?
not?
Hey,
Why
you're not the first. I don't know who was before you, but I'll just say you were not the first. Are you registered at where? Best Buy or something? Where are you registered? Where's Ronnie 2K registered?
GameStop for sure.
GameStop? Stop. We can
And
get-
the NBA store.
What, you can get an NBA 2K gravy boat for you
Yeah.
or something like
Can't
that.
wait.
For
Candlesticks.
candlesticks. That makes a nice gift. At Ronnie2K on both Twitter and Instagram. NBA 2K23 is obviously up and Adam. Congratulations on all your success.
Oh, thank you, Rich.
And I really appreciated this conversation. It was so good. I'm not even now concerned Klay Thompson will never appear on this show now. So
It's going to be great when you and Klay run into each other at the grocery store. Since you
That'll
live
be
in the
great.
same-
I
That's
can't wait for the
fun.
Rich Eisen is a clown tweet from Klay.
Here
tonight.
comes.
Hey.
Here we go.
Place it on at Rich Eisen Show is our Instagram page.
That's right.
Spell my name right. At Ronnie2K again on Twitter and Instagram. Let's make a habit of this anytime you're in
Yeah,
Los Angeles,
please pick up NBA 2K23 if you haven't already. It is the Jordan year, so like it's a really good one.
23.
Do it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Glad
I
to
get
keep
it.
me around.
That's one of the many reasons.